All right, guys, we're recording this right after the 4th of July holiday. Matt, you had fun, I had fun, and Jared worked. That about says it all.
That's how it goes, man. That's how it goes. Yeah, it's no surprise. I'm sure you guys were partying it up, sparklers, beers, water, sun. That was nothing like my 4th of July. It was spent in an air conditioning office, staring at office chairs and cubicles. That's kind of how mine went. So.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of you're in the working life. You're a working man now, right? So especially I assume you're working the Tigers games. So
yeah, yep.
I mean that's kind of just how it goes. Maybe at some point you'll be able to request those days off, and you won't be the one in the office. There will be younger people than you stuck at the office or something.
The way I view it is I don't do anything big for 4th, so it's like I almost like I'm jumping on the grenades. Like, why would I request it off when I'm just gonna be sitting doing nothing? So yeah. It's my act of valor.
Yeah, what I forgot to talk about last week is when you get up more into the working world, whether you're at Bally still or you're doing something else, what I always did is if I had a weekday 4th of July, I either took that whole week off and only had to use 4 vacation days, or the way it fell this year on a Thursday, I would have just taken Friday as a vacation day. Boom. I have all that time off.
That works if you don't work weekends. If
True.
you were, like, Tigers play on the weekend. So, sometimes you still have to work on weekends. So yes, I understand what you're saying. That's definitely a good way to do it. Yeah, we had some friends come into town. One friend and her daughter came into town and stayed with us for 5 days. So we hung out at our pool basically like most of the time. It was hot down here. I mean, I know it's basically hot everywhere, but it was, heat index of like 115, 120 some of the days. I mean, it was hot. So the pool was like a must. Her daughter had never been to the ocean. So Saturday we drove over to the ocean and got to show her a couple of our favorite beaches that we go to down here, and, jump in the water a little bit and have some good food and stuff like that. So yeah, really, it was a fun 4th of July. I mean, we didn't live on the water. Like I said, in our breakdown last week, my favorite thing is to basically be on the water the whole time, but great food. You guys remember my number one was food. We had awesome food. And yeah, just relaxing by the pool, having some drinks and just hanging out. It was a good 4th. That's for sure.
Yeah, I agree. We had a nice one too. We missed you, Jared. We talked about last week about fireworks. Are they overrated? Are they not overrated? I will say this. We had a little smaller gathering than we normally have. So we were able to take everybody that was at the party out onto the pontoon and watch the fireworks out on the water. And I will say this, huge difference, just absolutely huge difference. So much better than sitting on the lawn and watching. When they're going up over your head and you're seeing the reflection of the fireworks in the water also, it was great. So this year certainly wasn't overrated. And I think we learned a little thing that it's been a long time since we did that. And it's so much better being out on the water.
Well, did they still move it where it's like they basically pulled a fast one on you last year where they moved the fireworks where it was blocked? It wasn't in that same location?
No, they put it back to the regular spot. So that was good too. Yeah.
A couple of the complaints must have got through last year.
Apparently. And by the way, I did want to say this, the way I look at it was a whole July 4th celebration. It's even going to continue on this week. I'm going to go see the Queen tribute band tomorrow night. Going to go see the Tigers on Thursday. It's my birthday. But had a great time Friday night at Meadowbrook. Believe it or not, all these years, going to all the concerts I've ever been to, I've never been to Meadowbrook. And it's really like just a small version of Pine Knob, and saw the Beach Boys on Friday night, July 5th, the Beach Boys with John Stamos. John Stamos, really,
that's crazy.
He's an official part of the Beach Boys. I'm not kidding you, Matt. He was, when they came out, he's front and center playing guitar right next to Mike Love.
That is cool.
He did play drums, but I mean, he was really out there working the crowd.
Did we ever get an answer? I feel like we talked about it when you brought it that you were going up to that you were going to that concert. I mean, the Beach Boys it's like a teenage boy band. How do they sound? Are they lip syncing? How do they do it?
No, I'll be completely honest. The older guys like Mike Love, his better days of voice definitely is passed by. I mean, when you go to these concerts, when you see somebody like Mick Jagger, some of these old timers, they give it a go, and it's still the songs, but it's not the powerful vocals they used to have. But I think he did really well. And they also have the way they are with tribute bands or old bands that only have 1 or 2 members left, they bring in musicians that are top of the line,
Right.
and the singers are top of the line that sound just like the Beach Boys. So it was not disappointed at all. And I almost went back to Woodstock, guys, because
Oh no.
I wasn't really prepared, and it was a complete thunderstorm downpour about 2/3 of the way through.
Oh man.
And we're all going, do we gut it out? Do we gut it out? And we did. We were completely soaking wet. My sister and my wife were just jamming on the hill with everybody else. It was a summertime party, and it was awesome. And we
That's
dried
cool.
off. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you'll dry off. It's just
Right.
water. And what do you always say? Parents always say to kids, you're not made of sugar. You're not going to melt.
Exactly.
So I mean, you're good as long as it's still warm. If it got
was.
super cold, well, that's no fun. But if it's still warm,
Yeah.
who cares? You're having a good time listening to music. That honestly, I know you mentioned that before. Probably when you bought the tickets or you were going to go
Right.
about John Stamos playing with the Beach Boys. I can't emphasize enough to people like Jared. Yes, you people, you young people. That's the coolest thing for the young kids like me that grew up with Full House. Full House, Jesse and the Rippers, Uncle Jesse, John Stamos. That was who he was. He was a rocker through that show. And the Beach Boys were on the show multiple times. I mean, there was a whole episode where they got they like crashed their boat on a deserted island, and the whole Full House family made their way through. The native people on that island found them, and they ended up at a Beach Boy concert, and they ended up on stage with the Beach Boys. And, they're all playing the music. John Stamos was playing with them and stuff. And, in the show, John Stamos's character was friends with the Beach Boys. So they had that connection. So that really is cool, that like to think back that like that was true. Like they probably were really friends.
Yeah.
So he had them on Full House, and now they kind of almost like pay him back and have him actually tour with them and play. That's pretty cool.
He even got to sing his own song. He got to sing a song.
That's awesome.
It was pretty cool.
I feel like the Beach Boys missed a little bit of an opportunity. We talked about AZee branding with an interview we recorded a little bit earlier. Their brand, like the Beach Boys, you think about, the beach vibe, and it's Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What they're going to be forgotten in history. I feel like when they should be
never.
They should be a premier. They should be having beach beers. They should have umbrellas branded by the Beach Boys, hats by the Beach Boys, polos by the Beach Boys. It just seems like they kind of missed that a little bit.
I can see what you're saying. They're not going to be forgotten. It's the Beach Boys.
They're legendary.
Their name, now I say branding jokingly, their name, the Beach Boys, is why they're popular.
Yeah.
They have some songs, yes, but if they were the Backstreet Boys, we aren't hearing about them.
Oh my!
I can see what you're saying. If they were in their prime nowadays, or maybe even say like the 2000s, 2010,
right.
whatever, they probably would have all that stuff, Beach Boys gear and swag, and maybe beers and maybe a vodka that was Beach Boys vodka or tequila or something.
They would.
Sure.
Like they probably would. They're a little past that, but they're not going to be forgotten. That is really cool.
They spent all their branding money on infiltrating the Full House demographic.
Speaking of Stamos and Full House, here's the generation thing here. My sister, who's way closer to my age than your age, Matt, she was hollering out Blackie from General Hospital. She's a General Hospital freak.
That's funny.
She remembers when he was on there.
Yep.
I was like, "Where is this going?" When you started yelling, I was like, "Okay, all right."
Now you get
a weird turn on this podcast.
I'm glad we cleared that one up. By the way, this is episode 320 of the 3 Point Podcast, presented by the Memorial Healthcare Wellness Center, voted Shiawassee County's best health club and gym. Check out memorialhealthcare.org for details on everything they offer. Also, want to thank our starting lineup of other partners. They include ALS Association of Michigan, AZee Branding Solutions, Detroit Jerky, Jacobs Insurance Agency, Kori and Associates Real Estate Services, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Rivals Taphouse and Grille, the Shiawassee County Fair, and Success Group Mortgage and Servicing. And mentioning the fair, the Shiawassee County Fair, there's much more in 24 miniature golf, helicopter rides, and the Skirbeck Carnival is back. Livestock shows along with large and small animal auctions. Get more details online at ShiawasseeFair.com. The Shiawassee County Fair, August 4th through the 10th. We'll be back after this. I think we're going to do a little taste test, aren't we, fellas?
Yes, sir.
We'll have a little jerky tasting coming up right after this. All right, guys, we've talked about our great sponsors and friends, Detroit Jerky, and we got a little care package in the mail, and
Yep.
thought
Like
we'd let our
you've
listeners.
got the shirt on there. That you
Yeah, I
got.
do.
Make America
Make
jerk
America
again.
jerk
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. So what we figured they sent me. They kind of sent us all a little bit of different stuff. I think I ended up getting 6 bags of their
Right.
jerky, and I know you guys all got some. So we just thought it would be fun to each of us pick 1 or 2 and do a live, quote unquote live, a virtual taste test of some jerky. So
you want me to start?
I will say I've had the sweet mesquite.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me start this off. So this week this is episode 320, like Ted has said. We actually have the owners, Doug and Allie Cohen. We interviewed them, and we have some partner podcasts coming up that we're going to run in the next couple of weeks. Podcasts with all of our partners. Yep. So we have an interview with them, and they really give us the background of Detroit Jerky and the whole vegan jerky thing and everything like that. So be on the lookout for that, because it was a really cool interview that we did with them. So we thought it'd be fun to live taste test some jerky. I've had sweet mesquite, and I opened that one first because if I was to have jerky, I do like that flavor of stuff. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you that, I ate the whole bag in 2 or 3 days. Grab a handful or 2, every little bit. So sweet mesquite, right now I'll put up as my number 1. But that's the only one I've tried. So
now, how would you describe the jerky? Because sometimes when you think of jerky, it's the flat, real tough to chew type of product. But this is a little different.
Yeah, it's definitely not the big old slabs of meat, that normal jerky are. That you have to really rip when you eat it. Right. I would say it's almost like shredded. Mm-hmm. It's almost like it's shredded jerky, and it's much softer. You don't really have to chew it very much. So if you're one that whole part of jerky kind of turns you off, then this might be a good option for you.
Honestly, I think that's like an improvement on jerky. I haven't tried it yet. I'm going to try the sweet teriyaki. I'm going to let you guys go first. But you think about jerky, and like one of the downsides of it is the chewiness of it. Mm-hmm. I hate that. Everything else about jerky, it's a healthy snack on the road. You can get it anywhere, gas station, all that sort of stuff. So this has all the benefits of that and kind of a little bit different taste. And one of the pluses, I think, honestly, is that it doesn't have that quality.
Right.
So, all right. So I'll give it a go first. So I'm going to try Michigan Cherry Bomb. I'm just very intrigued. Yep. I'm intrigued by this. I know, Ted, you've already gave this one a go.
Yeah.
I'm just very curious. Michigan Cherry Bomb, is it going to be 2 cherry? Is it? I don't know.
All right.
So let's see.
What one are you going to try, Ted?
Oh, well, I was going to do that, but I'll
Matt Down's the hatch.
Not as cherry-y as I thought, but it does have. It's definitely like cherry. It's definitely a strong cherry. It wasn't at first. Yeah. If you like cherry flavored stuff, this is really
good. I don't even like. I almost need to try that one, but I won't for now. I'm going with hickory cracked.
It's actually a little spicy too. I'd be curious what makes it the Michigan Cherry Bomb. I'm not sure, but Michigan Cherry Bomb. Yep, 2 thumbs up for me.
I just went with the hickory cracked pepper. It is like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's jerky, but
right.
I don't know how we fill in the blanks here. It's damn good. But it's unlike, it's not, when you think of jerky, this is not what comes to your mind. No. But it's damn good. Yep. I just went with the basic one, hickory cracked pepper. I'm with you, Matt. On Ted's scaling, I got to give it 3 out of 3, right? 3.5, 3 out of 3.
So is it very peppery? Because I haven't had that one yet. Is it like very,
Listen, this is what I was like. I'm like fighting for words because I'm not a food reviewer. I don't know how to like the savory, the sweet. Here's what I'll tell you. It's damn good. So that's where I'm at with it.
Yep.
So it got a little kick to it?
Not so much. No, it's just it again, I'm struggling for words because I'm not a food connoisseur. I just like stuff what I like. Hickory cracked pepper, damn good.
Yep.
Well, Matt talked about the sweet mesquite, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to give that an actual on-air taste test right here.
I liked it. If you like mesquite, flavored stuff, it was good.
Yeah, it's got a nice flavor to it.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly is mesquite flavoring? I don't know.
I just think of barbecue. I don't know.
Like a barbecue.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
I think of barbecue chicken or whatever. So.
Okay, chewed it up, swallowed it.
People are listening to the chewing sounds and probably going, "Dear God, how do I
got a little taste. I will say this. It does have kind of that barbecue flavor to it, kind of maybe a little smoky flavor as well. And as Jared said, that's 3 thumbs up, man, on the 3 Point Podcast scale.
Okay. So far so good. I'm gonna just do one more. We're not gonna go through all these, but I'm very curious of the Buffalo Burn. I really want to know, like, is this about to tear my stomach up? Super spicy?
Yeah, Allie tried to talk me into that.
We're using the word branding a lot tonight. Yeah. Branding is top notch. I love the logo. It's like an old school Detroit logo. Is what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't. Oh
yeah, this is spicy. Buffalo Burn. Yep.
Is it burning?
This is like you doused your chicken in buffalo sauce and you're at Buffalo Wild Wings just eating a bunch of wings.
You need some celery and
it's good though. I mean, if you like buffalo flavored stuff or buffalo wings, Buffalo Burn's definitely good. And it's not too spicy.
You know, you're a healthy guy, but I was just thinking that would be kind of nice, just a little dab into some ranch dressing.
Oh yeah, or blue cheese. Or blue cheese, ranch. Yep. So yeah, Buffalo Burn. I'd give it, if you like buffalo flavored stuff, I'd give it the three thumbs up, like you guys have been doing. So yeah, I mean, we, like I said, in an upcoming podcast, we have our interview with Doug and Allie from Detroit Jerky. So definitely be on the lookout for that. But be on the lookout too for Detroit Jerky.
Yes.
If you like jerky, but maybe you've gone vegan, or you're trying to avoid meat products, but you still like jerky, this is definitely a good alternative. Or if you're just wanting to try something different, Detroit Jerky, the flavors are really good. The ones I've had and just tried, very, very good.
Yeah.
So I saw something kind of interesting actually just earlier today about Jaylen Brown just went vegan, and he basically equated all of his most recent success, the big jump he took within the last couple of years, to becoming vegan.
Right.
I thought it was funny. He's like, man, I think so much clearer. I have so much more energy. It's like, it's tempting me. I mean, listen, I got a lot more bigger fish to fry in my diet than just switching to vegan. Right. But for real, if you're on the fence and it's something you kind of maybe want to try, it's like, I don't know. It sounds like it has a lot of really big benefits.
Yeah.
I think I have a few friends that went vegan a while ago, and they were already work out and like to work out and be active and stuff like that. And they've said the same thing. And one of them actually sent me about Jaylen Brown, that the stuff that you're talking about. And just, there's a lot of people who have. I think it's one of those where, it maybe isn't the best option for everyone, but whatever works for you, do what works for you. And maybe going vegan and buying some Detroit Jerky is some people's route.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's our taste test, courtesy of our friends at Detroit Jerky. We appreciate their sponsorship and their donation to the cause. But let's talk a little sports. I don't know where you guys want to start, but it is baseball season. I am going to the game on Thursday, and right after that's going to be the All-Star break. And the Detroit Tigers, couple All-Stars this year, pretty good. Riley Green and Tarek Skubal. Let's hope he gets the starting nod. I'm not sure how the rotation lines up, but congratulations to them, both well deserved. Green, I had the stats earlier. I think he's got 16 or 17 home runs.
Yep.
Solid defensive player, only 261 batting average, but he's got the pop in the bat and definitely a deserving All-Star.
Yeah, and he plays great defense too. So I mean, Skubal was a no-brainer. I mean, everyone knew he was going to make the All-Star. Riley Green was maybe the one where I was like, maybe this isn't his year. Right. Maybe next year will be the year he makes it. So it was very cool to see him make it because he deserves it. He deserves it. And it will be interesting, like you said, depending on where the rotation and stuff shake out with the All-Star game. It would be cool to see Skubal get the start. Because what's cool about that is they let the starter go 1, sometimes 2 innings.
Usually
and then,
one.
Right. And then the rest of the pitchers usually just go 1 batter, 2 batters, maybe 1 or 2 outs. So usually they give the starter a little more time. So it'd be cool, especially with the Tigers, how things have been going the last handful of years or whatever, to see a pitcher get the start. It'd be cool.
Yeah, it's going to be cool to see those guys. I'm with you. It's like, hopefully Skubal gets the nod for that first inning. This is something I'm going to talk about that it has no business bothering me as much as it does, but it really does, man. The uniforms for the All-Star game. And people bitch about this with every league. I don't really give a shit about the NBA. I do wish that the NBA would wear their actual uniforms in that game, but they don't need it. And I do think a lot of times players will buy, or kids and fans alike will buy those All-Star Game uniforms for basketball players, a Doncic, a LeBron. They buy everything of these guys. And we also don't need to recognize, we know what teams they play for. We know their stories. We know all these guys in the NBA All-Star Game. The newest unveiling of the MLB All-Star uniforms, I saw somebody tweet it, and it's perfectly. They look like they are ice cream parlor jerseys.
Right.
That's what it looks like. It looks like, and I'll even take it a step further. I wouldn't be surprised, Ted, if I walked around in your basement and I saw one of these from one of your softball games from back in the past. That's like what it looks like.
Yeah,
that's not
you're
even
right.
They'd be sweet softball uniforms.
Right.
They are not MLB All-Star uniforms.
Yeah.
MLB and baseball as a whole, what is important to it? It's history.
Yeah.
What is historically what players wear in these games? It's the classic all-white uniforms. One photo tells a million words. There's a great photo I just saw on Twitter. Liked it. Here's these guys all lined up for the national anthem. It's like mid-2000s, all wearing beautiful white, crisp baseball uniforms. Tony Gwynn, Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds, Chipper Jones, Mike Piazza, all in a row. Right. There's something so perfect about that image and the aura around the All-Star Game that honestly, I think within the last 5 to 7 years, it's lost. I remember when I was a kid, I never watched baseball, never gave two shits, but I always watched the All-Star Game. I don't even think I watched the World Series, but there was something cool about the All-Star Game. You had something to play for, home field advantage in the World Series. I always loved it, and it seemed like you had big names in every at-bat. Nowadays, I don't know if it's because of where baseball is. It seems like it's a revolving door of All-Stars. I tried to do some research and see returning All-Stars from last year to this year and see how much carryover there is. It seems like it's one guy. If you have a good couple months, you're in the All-Star game. Yeah. It's not like the NBA where it's like it's the same guys every year. It's Kobe Bryant, it's Michael Jordan, it's LeBron. It's guys you don't even know. And to add to that, we have these uniforms where you can't tell what team they play for.
Yep.
It's like one little small logo on the hat that's colored the same way as the uniform. It's like you almost got to like do some research to know who the hell these guys are. Listen, I get the whole appeal of selling these unis. Somebody will buy them. Yeah, I don't think a lot, especially this year's. My God, they're bad. But bring it back to what made baseball and the All-Star Game pure and perfect. And that's wearing those gray uniforms, those white uniforms, and that's wearing those darker uniforms for the other home team. Where are you guys at?
Matt, before you jump in, Matt, I just thought I better look outside and make sure there's no lightning that might strike me because Jared and I are on the same page.
Ted, go buy a lottery ticket tonight.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Jared, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's the stupidest thing that they ever instituted. I'd like to see hard facts on how much more money they make on those god-awful uniforms. I mean, you know, baseball is a traditional sport and the uniforms go hand in hand. And on top of that, you know, I'm not in my baseball card collecting days, obviously, anymore, where I know every player or every all-star. I couldn't tell you probably at least 2/3 of the players. I probably couldn't even tell you who they are. So, but if I saw their uniform, I'd say, oh, he plays for the Padres, or oh, he's a Dodger. It's crazy. It's stupid.
Yeah, I'd be curious. Again, we're mentioning these partner podcasts that we have coming up, and we talked to Tony Nash from AZee Branding Solutions about this whole. Yeah, we've talked about branding a lot. I'd be curious what he would have to say about this. And in that sense, you know, yeah, they probably sell a few jerseys, you know, of the All-Stars or the special hats, you know, the people who are diehard, you know, Tigers, Cubs, you know, whoever, White Sox fans, maybe they want the All-Star version of, you know, their team's hat. Sure, make a few more bucks. Maybe that's what the MLB is thinking. But no, this is one that I think we're all 100% in agreement. Usually it goes the other way, but we're all in agreement. The coolest thing, and I do love the NBA All-Star Game. I know you were railing on it, Jared. I loved when they were in their home and away jerseys. It's changed now because it used to be tradition. You wear the white jerseys when you're at home. You wear the, you know, whatever color when you're on the road. It's obviously different now, but you could still do it that way. Home team white, away team, whatever color that team wears. And the pictures are just so cool to me to see, you know, a Pistons player in the Pistons home with a Cavs player in the Cavs home and a Celtics player in the Celtics home jersey. Like you said about the iconic photos you see of baseball's all-time greats in their home and away jerseys, you know, rivals, you know, you got Cubs players with Giants players and Dodgers players, and they're all on the same team in their home or away jerseys. It's just the coolest thing to see. Not to mention, like what you just said, Ted, if you see a bunch of players and you see some pitcher out there throwing smoke, striking out the side, and you're like, I have no idea who that is, but oh, he's wearing a Mariners hat. Okay, let me go look up the Mariner. You know, you would be able to do that stuff. Now you're looking at these weird jerseys, and it's like, well, who is their sponsor? Cone Zone? Like, what is happening right now? So no, they need to go back. I'm sure it is 100% to try and make a few more bucks. I bet you that's what it is.
If you're gonna do the All Star uniforms, I mean, make them cool. These are terrible. They're so bad. What am I more likely to buy? A Tarek Skubal home Detroit Tigers jersey with an All Star patch on the sleeve, or this ice cream parlor jersey that they are trotting out there?
Right.
What is the obsession with these colored uniforms in baseball?
Right.
The white uniform and the gray uniforms are the best.
Right.
All these City Connects where it's black and blue and God knows what colors, dude. You are all about tradition, history. It'd be like if college football, Penn State, Michigan, they just like threw out what they wear. It was like what Michigan did under the Brady Hoke era, the under the lights uniforms,
right?
Shitty ass uniform. What are you doing? You can't beat the traditional Penn State whites. Baseball doesn't understand that. They don't understand it. I don't get it.
What are the best uniforms? Maybe in all of sports, the Dodgers home, the Tigers home, the Yankee pinstripes. Those are the best uniforms in all sport. You don't have to mess with them. Right. Don't mess with them.
What I love about the baseball all whites, it's like when you're looking at this picture of all these stars like Barry Bonds, Tony Gwynn, the uniforms, it's like you think they're almost like wearing the same uniform. They're so identical. The tradition is gone nowadays. It just is.
Yeah. And I liked your idea. I had actually thought about it before the podcast, Jared, about what's wrong with having the Tiger uniform with the All Star Game patch. I mean, it's a great logo. Put it right on the sleeve,
That's what they do in the World Series. If they make the World Series, there's usually the patch on there. I don't know why they don't do it.
And if you're a Tiger fan and your first jersey is one of these god awful American League jerseys, and you don't have a Tiger D jersey, a white with the blue D, you're out of your mind. You're not a Tiger fan.
Right. Yeah. You tweeted out about this whole topic, Ted, and I think we've maybe talked about this before, but your idea is, I think is fair for the home run derby or maybe batting practice. Yeah. Have some alternates, have some cool, fun, make them the City Connect. If the All-Star Game's in Chicago, make them all something to do with Chicago or something like that. Do something like that for the home run derby and the batting practice. But when it comes to the game, when you're trying to market baseball and people want to know how many people are really honestly going to know who Tarek Skubal is if he does get the start. If you follow baseball closely, yes, he's having a Cy Young year. If you're a Tigers fan or an American League Central fan, yeah, you probably know who Tarek Skubal is. But the generic fan that just sticks to maybe West Coast baseball, they're not going to know who he is. He trots out there in these goofy uniforms. They're going to be like, oh man, what's that logo on his hat? I can't tell. Oh, that's the Tigers. Oh, that's crazy. As opposed to if he went out there in the Tigers uniform, then you're like, oh man, he plays for the Tigers. Okay. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, we had this conversation. I think we'll have this conversation every year. I think they restarted this up in 2019, and it's just stupid. I thought they were going to end it. I thought there was so much of an uproar after last year, they weren't going to do it again. And then like we've looked at, these uniforms are god awful ugly. What the hell? Oh,
the more corny they make this game, that is really the only All-Star game that you can have a true like competition for, and there's something to win. The more they put the mics in there, the live game interviews, Big Papi running through the dugout, the more the jerseys, it's like, just let us watch the game. That's what's magical about it, to me, at least.
Yep. Well, because back in the day, I mean, you put the World Series home field advantage on the line, and guys will take it seriously. But Ted, you remember, like old school All-Star games, they took it seriously. I mean,
they played to win. They played to win.
Right? Like Pete Rose, he was barreling over dudes in the All-Star game,
right?
And like these pitchers didn't want Reggie Jackson hitting a home run off him, and he bombs one out at Tiger Stadium or whatever. Like, the All-Star game used to mean something, and it's just
I mean, it really did, and they weren't playing for home field advantage in the World Series then either, like you said. I mean, you think about my youth guys, and the All-Star game was the marquee event in the summertime when it came to baseball. I love my Tigers, but when it was the All-Star game and I got to see guys in the National League, which you didn't see all the time, and you got to see Willie Mays and Hank Aaron and Roberto Clemente, and of course K-Line and Frank Robinson, Brooks Robinson. I mean, the list goes on and on from back in the mid 60s. It was a little different, and I think baseball is missing the boat by getting away from that tradition type of stuff and going to the bank instead, or the so-called bank, if they're making that much extra money. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm sure it's not much, but what do we know? What do we know?
When it comes to marketing uniforms, let's slide over to the Olympics, okay? Because the U.S. men's team start right there. I mean, there's nobody going to touch them, is there? I mean, I know the Euros, they've got a lot better. You know, obviously in the NBA draft, you got the top two choices from France. But man, I looked at the U.S. roster. Man, that's pretty solid. If they can get them to play together, you know, that's the only question mark, because they should roll to the gold, I think.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
I don't think you could say that, man. I mean,
Really?
Team Canada, one of the big blows, the Warriors aren't letting Andrew Wiggins play for Team Canada, but Team Canada's loaded.
Okay.
And a lot of these other, and it's like, even in years when the competition isn't necessarily loaded, I feel like there's always a game where they're kind of tested. I mean, even that 08 squad, how good they were. It's like, man, that gold medal game was a toss-up. Who was going to win with the two Gasols playing and Ricky Rubio? They had a loaded squad. That, to me, this is a little different than the women's Olympics, where we were talking a few weeks ago, how it's like they're going to win no matter who they play. I don't think you can say that for the men's. They have to assemble a damn good squad. Believe me, that's why they're adding, like, one of the big controversial things is like Joel Embiid playing for Team USA.
Right.
I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about it. I don't totally understand how he qualifies. I don't know the rules, but Team USA is taking him because we need this guy,
Right.
or we don't want to take any chances. We're taking all the best players we can get. It's awesome. I love everything about USA basketball. I'm not with you. I don't think they're going to roll, and that's what's going to make it intriguing to watch. They should win. I think they will. If I bet my life, they're going to win, but I don't think you can put it in stone. I mean, they have one hell of a roster, but a lot of these other teams are getting goddamn good. We talk about it. The best players in the world are not from the USA right now.
Right.
Like, it's just get your popcorn ready. That's the one event I truly will be watching. I'm not a big Olympics guy, but I love watching USA, whether they're winning games at 50, whether it's a gold medal game where they're battling, all of it I watch and I enjoy it.
Yeah, like you kind of said, Ted, the women's side, they should roll. I mean, this is like they haven't lost a game since the early 90s. I mean, the women's side, there's a couple teams that have caught up. Like, I think Japan is pretty good, and there's a couple other teams that are pretty good. But overall, the U.S. women's team, especially again when you look at that roster, is just like, geez, this isn't even fair. The men's, I think it does. Yeah, again, on paper, they should win every game by 15-20, but it's all about, can they play together? LeBron James, this is Steph Curry's first Olympics. And he's never played in the Olympics. LeBron and him have never been teammates. How is that going to work? It should be fine, but you still have to play some games together to figure out who's going to get the ball and stuff. And the FIBA, Olympic style basketball, FIBA basketball is a little different. The rules are a little different. They call fouls differently. The 3-point line is a little shorter, which should help a guy like Steph Curry, but it is still a little different, So it's just a very different style of ball. The actual ball is different than the NBA ball. So I remember like guys saying that the first time they start dribbling and shooting it, they're like, oh, this feels differently. So yeah, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. Again, on paper, when you look at starting five of Steph Curry, LeBron, Kevin Durant, Joel Embiid, and I'd be curious if like Kawhi Leonard is going to start or who they're actually going to start. That's not even fair. Like when you break it down like that, it's like, dude, that's not even. Those are 4 or 5 of the best players ever. So right, they shouldn't lose, but other teams have caught up. Spain is always good. Like you said, France with Giannis, they knocked out Luka in Serbia. Luka Doncic isn't even going to be in the Olympics.
Right.
And, he's one of the best players in the league, and Japan is always solid. Like you said, Canada is actually really good. So I love the Olympics. I know you said you're kind of on the Olympics, Jared. I love Olympic basketball. I love that it's in Paris because the times of the games aren't going to be middle of the night like it's been before.
It's important to, I mean, we sweep it on the rug. Yeah, the USA is talented. These other teams play year round. Right. And one of the funny things, every year people get pissed about men's soccer and how we never play well. Like whatever, I don't even know what damn tournament they just lost, but people were upset about it.
Copa America.
For these other countries, it's literally life and death. Some of these soccer tournaments, they are so motivated to win these damn games. It's like you almost can't even compete for the USA. Like for example, it's like I remember I just saw a video on my Twitter.
I was going to bring that
Carlos
up.
Arroyo, Puerto Rico, back in 2004 with that shitty USA team we had. Dude, he's like lighting it up. He's the best player on the court in that one game. It's one game of basketball. These guys are studs. You have a hot shooting night, you can win. And they just mean so much more. And they're so much better. They're so much more cohesive. and it means so much more to them. I mean, the Wagner twins. Don't be surprised if Franz Wagner, if we find ourselves playing him in Germany, and he's like lighting us up for a 30 ball. That's how it goes. And I'm referencing Twitter and things I saw a lot. Perfectly explained in Twitter form. There's nothing more dangerous to the USA basketball than a C+ NBA player on these opposing teams. It's so true. They always play to the level of their competition. It's always good games. I can't wait to watch it. One thing I thought was kind of funny that I saw, Anthony Edwards basically saying he's the guy. They have to mold around him. You won one series. I like Anthony Edwards. I love how confident he is, but my God, dude, you won one series. You won one series. You didn't even make it to the freaking finals. And you got your cheeks clapped. In the very next series, you got your cheeks clapped. Now you're sitting here talking about you're the alpha with guys like LeBron, KD. Dude, no, you're coming off the bench, bud. You're coming off the bench, and you'll excel in that role, and you'll be a damn good player for us. But what is he talking about? Who is, I guess one question is, who is the alpha on this squad? And two, what is this guy talking about? D Wade came off the bench. D Wade is a finals MVP, multiple championship winner, stud. Dude, you're not him yet. You might be him in years to come, but you're not him yet.
I'd be curious, he's obviously uber confident and he is going to be one of the best players in the league. I'd be curious if he's like even serious when he said that, or if he's kind of just messing around with the media. He probably is dead serious and thinks that he's the best player on the league, on the team. Yeah, your question about who's the alpha. I mean, it have to be LeBron, right?
But I would think, yeah.
Steph is there. Kevin Durant is there.
Line, who's getting them a bucket? Who is like when they're going to have a crunch time moments?
Right.
That I'm curious to see. It might be Anthony Edwards. He might not be wrong.
I'll put my money on Steph.
Steph or Durant. Durant, his style of play is perfect for FIBA basketball.
Yeah.
He can go down in the post. He can stretch the floor. Yeah, but Steph, I mean, he's going to be able to shoot from anywhere in the gym. You brought up Puerto Rico. They qualified for the first time since 2004. And you're talking about like how different it is for other countries. So yeah, Carlos Arroyo, who, Pistons legend, back in the day, I think he's a coach now, or he's one of the coaches. And he was like breaking down when they finally qualified. He's like breaking down into tears. Jose Alvarado, who's on the team for Puerto Rico, he plays in the NBA. He's like hyping up the crowd. The crowd there, that's all people from Puerto Rico, just going crazy. And it's just like it's cool to see that. That's what the Olympics are all about. It is cool to see that, these countries getting to watch their basketball team on the world stage like that. And yeah, like you said, a dude like Jose Alvarado, who's just a kind of run-of-the-mill backup point guard in the NBA, he's probably going to go to the Olympics and like just ball out and have a great tournament.
He will.
Yeah.
It's one thing that we're talking about traditions with the All Star Game. How awesome is the tradition of? And I just saw clips from it today. We were talking last week. Pistons, should they tank? Should they not? I mean, Cooper Flagg. In a scrimmage against Team USA, they lose by 1 point. This guy was playing high schoolers, 3 months ago. Now he's lighting up Team USA, LeBron James, Anthony Davis. I mean, there's sequences that have been going viral on Twitter of him hitting a three, going back, defending Anthony Davis on the other end, coming back, put back dunk. I mean, this guy he's next. But how awesome is that game every year of these young guns going up against these big USA players? I think USA basketball is one of my favorite things. The branding, Coach K, Steve Kerr now taking over. I mean, look at the staff they've assembled. Kerr, Mark Few, Gonzaga, Tyronn Lue, Eric Spoelstra. Everything about USA basketball is great, but especially that scrimmage, man. It's cool every year.
It is. I love how they bring in, like Jim Boeheim used to be on the staff, and like you said, Coach K. I love how it's not just like, who's the best coach in the NBA. Like they try to get the best coaches all around, some college guys and stuff. And I love it. I love Olympic basketball for sure.
Yeah. I mean, and staying on the Olympics for a second, we all love the basketball, right? And is there, what other events are must watch for you guys? I'll just throw mine out because my wife enjoys it and I enjoy watching it too. And it's the gymnastics. I love the gymnastics, man. They're incredible athletes. And Biles,
especially with Simone Biles.
Yeah. Oh my.
Yep. Yeah. Gymnastics, swimming, especially, when Michael Phelps, but there's a bunch of other swimmers for the US. I mean, they just sweep the swimming events. It seems like men's and women's.
Is there anything in track and field that grabs you?
I do not love the sprinting events. I mean, especially when Usain Bolt was at the peak of his powers and he's setting world records. I mean, that was must watch. You got to love sprinting. Other than that, I don't know if I have a must-watch event. It's kind of like whatever's on, you sort of just put it on, and you're in that sport now. Let's see what gymnastics is all about. See what track and field's all about. Swimming. Like, to me, that's kind of the specialness of it is it doesn't necessarily matter what's on. You know what's on the line. You know how much it matters to these athletes. The drama is what draws you in more so than the sport to me.
They always bring in these different sports too. And I just happened to be watching like a CBS Sunday Morning, and they had a 10-minute segment on break dancing is an Olympic sport now. Break dancing.
There's a lot of weird ones. Like I remember
there's someone come back.
The Foxcatcher book and the movie with Steve Carell and Channing Tatum, Mark Ruffalo, way back when, like John DuPont, that like old billionaire, was like an Olympian in like some random skeet shooting, also involving like running across the country. It's like the most random sports.
Right.
And if you got enough money and if you know about it, you can devote your time. You can become an Olympian. There's a lot of that.
It's like the one in the Winter Olympics where they like cross country ski and then they got to pick up a rifle and shoot the rifle, and then like I don't know, they go skydiving or something. But I did see, so like rowing is one of the random events that you come across in the Summer Olympics. That's fun. But I saw I think it's pronounced the Seine River over there in Paris.
Got a little pollution problem, don't they?
A little pollution problem, and they're like wondering like what they're going to do. They don't necessarily have a backup plan. Like that's where the rowing and some other events would take place, and they're like, it's like full of E. coli and other stuff. So it's just kind of like, you knew these Olympics were coming for a while. I don't really know what you can do to clean up a river. You know, it's not
every year there's problems with the host city every year.
Yeah.
Like no matter what, it seems like there's always something they forget about or something gets messed up.
I do think though, for a venue or for a city, Paris has got to be right up there. It's got to be incredible for the athletes, the fans, to go check out Paris. That'd be incredible.
One thing that cracked me up, we don't get to spend much time on it, but just the idea of it is so damn dumb and funny. I saw, obviously the big thing every year, Olympic Village, is how there's a lot of intermingling, males, females. One of the things I saw, they have like a quote unquote anti-sex bed.
Yeah, cardboard.
It makes no sense, man. If you want to laugh, look up that and think to yourself, how in God's green earth is this actually going to deter anyone from doing that?
Right.
It won't. So I thought that was a funny little thing.
That and they hand out thousands and thousands of condoms too.
Yeah, at least they're trying to, be safe with things. But you got to think, I mean, these are people, the most fit, attractive people on the planet, and they've been training their whole lives for this. And then once their event is done, they're probably just ready to let loose and party. So I mean, I can't that Olympic Village, the stories that would come out of that place.
Well, not anymore. Imagine. They have these beds that are going to.
Oh, right. So anti-sex beds. Yes.
One final thing on the Olympics, guys. I get these emails that come through with different facts, and this happens to be Olympic related. I'm just going to read it to you. It says a new study has revealed Simone Biles as the highest earning Olympic Team USA sports person on Instagram, with the ability to charge up to, get this, $37.8 thousand per sponsored post. I mean, we're doing okay with our partners, but we aren't in that range.
Yeah, we're not quite in that range. I mean, that's the whole NIL thing, like with college athletes and stuff. That's where they can make money.
Yeah.
Did you ever tying up a loose end from last week? Why are they doing the Al Michaels voice AI? Did we ever get an answer to that? Or
I never looked it up. Mysteries? That was very crazy. I wonder if they've tabled it. I wonder if they're really still going to do it.
I don't know.
I don't think so. He must be on board for it. So it's like they don't care. That's what.
Wow.
Let me see what I can find. Maybe while we do an ad read or something.
Incredible. Well, all right. Before we get into some Tedertainment tonight, do you guys have any other sports topics we want to get on the table? Go ahead.
Do you have something, Matt? Or I got something.
Nope, go for it.
Okay. Yeah. So this is something that's and we talk about things that bother me that shouldn't. Listen, I told you I've been texting you guys off podcasts, and we haven't talked about Michigan football really at all.
Oh yeah.
Championship. Mm-hmm. I've been texting you guys how I got a bad feeling about this year. I got a bad feeling about where the program's heading. If it seemed like for a couple months after the season, it was a negative story after negative story. Coaches getting fired, Denard Robinson let go. I just had a bad feeling about where the program was headed. Apparently, people listen to me, and now I think it's swung so far the other way, where people are negative towards this Michigan program, that I'm like, dude, they're going to have a good year this year. You don't lose that culture that Jim Harbaugh built in 1 year. I know they lost a lot of talent, more than just about anybody in the entire country, pretty much more than anybody in the entire country. But they still have pillars that are coming back. They still have that work ethic that was built into them. They still have, most importantly than anything, They have the belief that they can beat anyone out there.
Yeah.
You don't lose that after running the table last year like they did. Just because you lost a few guys in that locker room. Yes, it's going to be a big hit as the years unfold and we get further away from what Jim Harbaugh built. But I really do think this year they're still going to be damn good. I'm looking, and this is what sparked it in my brain. College Football 25, we talk about this game and how much I can't wait to play it. Colorado is one overall worse than Michigan. Are we joking? Michigan's offense isn't even ranked in the top 25.
Yeah.
Listen, what am I missing here? This offense and how it's built is to bludgeon people. The floor is so high. We see it with teams like Wisconsin, where they're going to win 9 games, pretty much no matter what, with this bread and butter. We're not going to make mistakes. We're not going to shoot ourselves in the foot. We're going to play damn good defense, and we're not going to turn the ball over on offense. This offense is going to be damn good next year. They're going to shock a lot of people. And honest to God, Texas week 2, the thing with Texas football, just when you think they're back, they take a step back.
Right.
You think they're back. They had a damn good showing college football playoff. They had a good season. They're bringing back Quinn Ewers. Everything is telling you, Texas, this is the year. Right when you think that is when it snaps back to reality. I think Michigan is going to be that kind of wake-up call. Their over-under wins for this year is set at 9. I understand the tough schedule. You know, they have road games against Ohio State. Ohio State, I'm taking my chances against them. I don't care who they have. This is kind of
Ryan Day.
I'm talking a lot, so I'm just going to stop. I have more points to make, but I'm just going to open it up to you guys. What do you guys make of the idea about Michigan football basically being severely underrated this year? Am I crazy?
I don't know about underrated because they did lose a ton of talent. And probably the biggest thing is quarterback. No, they don't really know who's going to be the quarterback. And even if it's going to be Alex Orji, you know, he basically has no experience, or they're going to go to a younger guy. And that's got to be the biggest reason. Don't know who the quarterback's going to be. And then they did lose Jim Harbaugh, but I'm with you. You know, I don't think this is like when Lloyd Carr got let go, or, you know, whatever happened, and then they brought in Rich Rod. That was a complete culture shift. It was a completely different team, completely different everything. But right, Sherrone Moore was there, obviously, with Jim Harbaugh. He coached a few games last year for Michigan. So, yes, in theory, everything Harbaugh built is just going to continue to roll along. Yeah, sure, Moore is going to put his stamp on it. You know, he's the head coach now, so he's going to do things his way or whatever. But he obviously saw what Harbaugh did and how it worked. So you would think that he's going to continue a lot of that stuff that was working for Michigan. They've started to clean up in recruiting too. He's flipping guys just today. We're recording on Monday. He flipped a guy from Notre Dame, and he's been getting other recruits and stuff. So he can recruit. He can sell Michigan football. NIL is obviously a big thing. They win. You know, they're going to make the playoff probably every year, or at least often, you know, now with the 12-team playoff. So the big thing I think, in my opinion, is going to be, can he actually be the head coach? You know, even when Harbaugh wasn't on the sidelines for those games for Ohio State, for Penn State, Harbaugh was still there all week, putting in the game plan, motivating, doing all that. And then Sherrone Moore just said, basically, don't mess it up, you know, type of thing. Now Harbaugh's gone. He's coaching the Chargers. Can you be the CEO, the full-on head coach of Michigan football? We'll find out, you know, but yeah, should they basically be the same overall ranking as Colorado? I don't know about that, but you know, I think the big thing is quarterback and no Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you guys broke it down perfectly. And I also think the 9 wins, that's a fair number. I mean, yeah. I could see them with 10, but I also could see them with 8. So I think 9's right on.
Dude, I'm telling you, I'm loving the squad. Everyone is going negative. Everything I laid out. Listen, and we're talking about how much they lost. What about what they're bringing back?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're going to figure it out on offense. Their offensive line, you don't lose that identity that offensive line had. I know they lost players, but I'm telling you, they're going to have the same identity that they had last year. And no, will they win a national championship? No, they're not that. We know how talented that squad was last year. But a few of the stalwarts they have back. Will Johnson, best cornerback in the country, going to be a top 3 pick, probably top 5 pick in the NFL. Mason Graham, a game wrecker, best defensive lineman in the country, going to be probably a top 15 pick in the NFL. Rod Moore, he's a senior safety. He's back. We know he makes plays. Colson Loveland's a good piece on offense. Donovan Edwards, I think he could win us a couple games on his own against some of these big teams, just with a couple of game-breaking plays. We've seen that happen. Yeah. I'm telling you, there's few things that I believe in this world. I do think that their program is headed, no matter what the recruiting says, I do think they're never going to be what they were under Harbaugh, what they got to. I would be surprised if they win a national championship. We saw how hard that was and the type of players they had in that locker room to actually get it done. And it still took miracles against Bama to get it done. They're not going to be that. They're going to slowly teeter off. This year, I don't think we're going to see much of a teetering effect. Yes, I understand the tough schedule, but they take so much out of the equation with how they play. We saw it against Penn State last year. It's like, dude, they can win a game without running the ball. And I know it's not the same squad. They have that same identity. I mean, some of their tough games, they have road games against Ohio State and Washington. I'm not worried about Washington. Talk about a team that's totally different than what they were a year ago.
Yeah.
It's Washington. A home game against Texas where the Big House is going to be on fire for that matchup. They're striping out the crowd. Home game against Oregon, that's a tough one because Oregon kind of matches us physically. USC, what am I missing here? I know what Michigan is. I don't know what these other squads are. I know what they're bringing. I'm getting fired up thinking about
I was going to say.
To surprise people. They're going to win more than 9 games. They're going to make it to the playoff, get into the playoff, and with this play style and with a defense that I would say is number 1 in the country, like, dude, take your chances.
Yeah.
I love that everyone's negative on Michigan right now. 9 wins.
You do
12 in the country. What are we talking about?
You do have me a little fired up with your soliloquy right there, but I will say you got to have a little bit of question mark on coaching and quarterback, don't you?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Quarterback. I mean, listen, dude, I didn't know if JJ McCarthy was the worst quarterback in the country or the best quarterback all the way up until like the last games of the year. Mm-hmm. They put so little requirements on the quarterback position. Orji is an athlete. He's not going to be JJ McCarthy. No.
Right.
He is going to be serviceable. They don't need him to be freaking Denard Robinson. They need him to be a game manager. Right. Make a couple plays with your legs, move the sticks. You know, Sharon Moore is a hell of a play caller.
Okay.
I'm not worried about it. And then on defense, I know they lost Minter. I know they lost a lot of studs, obviously. Michigan defense reloads year after year. My whole life, no matter who the coaches are. Every year you hit the reset button, you walk in game number 1, game number 2. Whoa, who the hell is this guy? He's a first round pick a year later.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, they're going to reload, man. They're going to be good. There will be a fall off. Eventually, it's not going to be this year. Mark my words, Texas week 2. I'll be curious to see what that spread is. If it's over a touchdown spread, dude, I'm hammering Michigan. I really think they're going to come to play that game. They're going to shock some people.
You know, this made my night. You know, here we are July 8th, and we're rolling in football conversation.
Yep.
It's right down the road, boys. Looking forward to it.
One more thing I want to throw out for football.
Yeah.
My favorite bet of all time. I'm putting it out there right now. We talk about Colorado. You guys know where I stand on Colorado. Listen, if they're good, I'll be the first guy rooting for them. I don't think they're going to be. Week number 1, 8 o'clock game. They have an all-time matchup that I think is the perfect recipe for an upset to kick off the college football season. North Dakota State coming into town, 8 o'clock night game. Think about North Dakota State. They're everything that Colorado is not.
Right.
And North Dakota State has talent. Dude, every year they have a first-rounder. Every goddamn year they have a first-rounder. They're always well-coached. They win in the trenches. They don't listen to the fluff of social media. That's the last thing. They don't even know if they have social media in North Dakota. Colorado, in the meantime, is already somehow resting on their laurels. Apparently, they're as good as Michigan to game creators.
Yeah.
They are in Milan instead of at spring practice to walk down the runway. I'm telling you, they're going to shell shock Colorado. That is a perfect recipe for an upset. I don't even know what the spread is. It might be 20 plus. I'm telling you, that's going to be the game of the weekend, and they're going to give Colorado one hell of a fight. I can't wait to see that game.
It should be a good game. That'll be a fun one to watch. Michigan's defense will keep them in it. That's what they got to bank on. But
yeah,
we'll see. I'm higher on JJ McCarthy than other people were. I think he
proved his mettle. He did down the stretch.
Did.
And that's where you're going to miss him. Think what made JJ McCarthy good. Season on the line against Bama. They need a touchdown. He went and got it. Yeah. That's where he separated himself. Yeah. That's not what Orji's going to give you, but I think Orji can hand the ball off to Adam Edwards 30 times a game.
Right.
Like he can hand it off every play of the game like he did against Penn State. He can do that.
Yeah. Well, JJ not only had the physical skill, he was a leader on that team, and that goes a long ways. All right, guys, let's wrap up this podcast. Let's take a little break and have just a short version of Tedertainment Tonight right after this. All right, guys, I'll start it off. You know, we're all Netflix watchers, and I thought, well, I'm going to check out Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. with Eddie Murphy.
Shot in Detroit, right? Or
A lot of the Detroit shots were pretty good in the movie.
Okay.
I would say for a Netflix movie, it was okay. It was all right. I wouldn't have wanted to pay money to go to the theater to watch it. It was a lot of rehashing, a lot of nostalgia because a lot of the original cast and crew are all in the movie. And Eddie Murphy, you know, you can watch him in about anything, you know, and he's going to be good in it. But I would probably give Beverly Hills Cop probably 2.4 on the 3-point scale.
What was the scene? Was there a scene at a Red Wings game? Because I remember a couple years ago we were working and they're like, we can't go in this section. We had to move our set because they were shooting a scene. Is that a big part of the movie or not really?
Nah, it was a part of the movie, but you know how they edit in movies. I mean, it maybe had a 5 or 10 second scene was about it.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you have Netflix and you're an Eddie Murphy fan and like the original Beverly Hills Cops, you know, check it out. I would say,
believe it or not, I actually do like those movies.
Yeah.
I mean, that trope has been used. I mean, maybe I'm having deja vu. Maybe we talk about this. That trope has been reused so many times. Kind of the fish out of water. Will Smith, Men in Black. What's his name? Axel Foley in this.
Yeah.
It's a great trope that I always can relate and appreciate.
Yeah, I never got into those movies, but like you said, Eddie Murphy's good. So
Men in Black.
No. Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh,
Men in Black, I liked a lot.
Yeah.
The best. This is a bit of a tangent, but the best scene in Men in Black is like the job interview that Will Smith goes through. All these guys are wearing like, you know, West Point cadet suits, and he's like wearing like baggy sweats and like I don't even remember what he's wearing, but it's so like perfect. I love that scene.
So anyway, that's my review on Beverly Hills Cop. Watch it if you have Netflix and you like that genre. And I will say the music was really good. They almost replayed all the music from the first ones. You know, Bob Seger was in it and the others. So it was good. I had one other show we've been watching that really kind of watched it because of my wife. She's a big Gene Smart fan from Designing Women. You probably don't even remember the name of that show. No. It's from the 80s. But anyway, it's a generational comedy, so it kind of fits into our podcast. She plays this elderly comedian, kind of like Joan Rivers, and then this young girl comes under and does writing for her, and it's a series. It's called Hacks. It's on Max. It's really, really good. I mean, I'd give it 3 thumbs up for the 3-point scale. It's funny. It's got a really great plot, great acting, and the writing's phenomenal. So if you get a chance, watch Hacks.
Is it a fiction? Or is it based on a true story or anything?
Like I said, she plays kind of a Joan Rivers character, you know, with the whole QVC twist. And, you know, she has a Las Vegas residency, and Happy Gilmore's foe in golf. Who was that guy? What's he called? Yeah. He was in it. He was the owner of the casino that she was headlining at. It's fiction, but it's kind of based on reality.
Okay.
So
interesting.
And we've watched almost all of 3 seasons of it, and they've signed up for a 4th. So we'll be definitely checking that out.
I got one real quick. And we've talked about it. House of the Dragon. Ted, I know you said you're waiting until it all drops.
I was going to ask you about it.
It's time to jump in.
Okay.
Episode 4 of 8 just happened.
Okay.
It's one of the top tier Game of Thrones episodes. I mean, the number one that I always say is Battle of the Bastards with Jon Snow. Everything that went into that episode. The one scene where he's taking on, 500 horse riders. It's the coolest scene maybe in television history. Nobody will ever be as cool as him in that shot. This episode is right up there with that one. This show, Game of Thrones ran out of steam at the end. One, it was too bloated. 8 seasons. I think this one's going to be right around 4 seasons, I think. Yep. The perfect length. The pacing to the show is so much better. I've always said I like it better than Game of Thrones. The story has already been written, but really what blows me away, George R.R. Martin, what a just like visionary. This world he built it's like mind-boggling. It's everything you love about that time period without kind of the BS that you would have had to deal with. It's the perfect mix of fantasy and just everything about it. It blows you away. Every Sunday night at 9 p.m. you are in Westeros, and until 10 o'clock comes around, you're locked in. This most recent episode was so good. I've listened to like 2 podcasts about it today. I can't get enough of it. It's time to officially jump back in because we're in for a hell of a ride these last 4 episodes of this season. I don't want to spoil anything, but it was elite television. It's the best show going right now. No argument.
All right, I'm back in then.
I forget what you guys say. For House of Dragon, would you have had to have watched Game of Thrones?
No.
And
so good.
We're currently on season what of House of Dragon?
2.
Like 12 episodes. No, I get Matt. You're only hurting yourself by not jumping into it. Like that's really no. Like I'm telling you, it's the best thing on television. It's like a movie every Sunday. I don't know how they do it. This battle that just took place at Rook's Rest is the name of the like castle that they fight at. I don't know how they accomplish it, man. It's you're at Rook's Rest. You're watching it.
The production value is really good. That's for sure.
No, I'd be interested in, especially since you don't have to have seen Game of Thrones, because I'm not about to go back and watch 8 seasons, 8 seasons of Game of Thrones. That's not happening. So if I could pick up 2 seasons and be in on this one, that may happen. We'll see. But yeah, I'll be curious on your guys' reviews. I know what Jared's are going to be.
Right.
I know Ted, you're all about that show too, so I'm sure you're going to enjoy.
I'm going to start watching it. Yep, for sure.
Yeah. Did you guys? So one thing I was going to bring up, I saw that. I don't know if we've ever talked about this during Tedertainment Tonight, but a big time show. I'd be curious if Jared, if you ever went back and watched it, because it was out. You were a little young when it was out, but Lost is now on Netflix, and it was a big deal. I saw a bunch of people tweeting about it, and whatever, posting stuff about Lost being on Netflix and wanting to go back and rewatch it. Ted, did you watch it when that was out, or Jared, have you ever gone back and watched it?
I watched every episode in the first run. Yeah. It was good.
It obviously tailed off hardcore, obviously. But I mean, those first 3-4 seasons, especially that first season, it's perfect.
Oh. Yeah. So you have watched it.
I love it. I've been getting flooded with the they've been targeting me on Twitter, man.
Yeah.
The Lost stuff. Yeah. So no, I know it's back on Netflix. I won't rewatch it. I just rewatched it maybe 2-3 years ago, but it's a great show if you've never seen it.
So because you have rewatched it. I was going to ask, would you guys go back and rewatch it? Because that was so long ago, 15 years ago or whatever that I watched it. I was like, man, it'd almost be like watching a whole new show again, because there's probably so much that I forgot, and I did like it so much when I was watching it. But again, I don't know if I would go back and rewatch the whole series. Am I going to do that? But it was one of my favorite shows. It was one show. I mean, you guys know from hearing me during Tedertainment Tonight, I don't watch a ton of stuff like appointment television type thing, but that was definitely when each episode of Lost came out, we were like, we're getting into our TV. We're watching Lost.
Yeah.
I mean, that was before streaming, and like I feel like TiVo wasn't even really a thing. So like you kind of had to sit there and watch it. So
I'll probably give season 1 a go. The only reason I'd hesitate to try to watch the whole thing is part of the allure of that show was all the surprises, that they caught you with. And when you already know what's going to happen, I don't know how it will play out.
I bet you there's a bunch of stuff you forgot though. So you might start to watch and be like, oh yeah, and then it'll come back. But
like flat out, just some of the characters in that show are S tier characters.
Yeah.
John Locke. They made him dumb. His plot turned very dumb.
Yeah.
But him, the first few seasons, when he gets on this island, now he's able to walk again. You hear his whole backstory. He was an elite character. Saeed, an elite character. Sawyer.
Sawyer was great.
Why am I blank? Jack is great.
Oh, yeah,
there's so many characters. My favorite, a couple of my favorites. Charlie's a great character. He actually has a great character arc throughout. But Desmond is probably my favorite. When I was a kid, I loved Desmond. He was another one of my key guys. But in terms of characters and how they wrote those guys, I don't know what type of class you'd have taken in college to learn more about how they built those people. But it's just so good, man.
Yeah,
it really was. All right, guys, I think we did it. I think we got another one in the can. Thanks to the Memorial Healthcare's Wellness Center. Join the Wellness Run Club, headed up by Rachel Smith and Ben Jacobs. A great way to get in shape. Get ready for that second annual Go Blue, Go Green 5K on October 5th. That'll be here before you know it. Get details at memorialhealthcare.org. Also want to thank our other partners, ALS Association of Michigan, AZee Branding Solutions, Detroit Jerky, Jacobs Insurance Agency, Kori Shook & Associates Real Estate Services, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Rivals Taphouse and Grille, Shiawassee County Fair, and Success Group Mortgage and Servicing. Also want to remind you that Chi-Town has another big show coming up. That's on Saturday, July 13th, a big 200-year celebration in Byron, and they're expecting a huge turnout for that. So go over to Byron this upcoming weekend. Check out the boys from Chi-Town. That'll do it. Peace and love, everybody. Be kind. Thanks for listening.